Your earnings, your spending, your savings.
You want cash flow that pays very little taxes.
Money Matters with the experts on the global scale.
What a way to run your life.
Personal Finance on Smooth 98.1.
Smooth 98.1. Love music, love life. 22 minutes past 5 p.m. You are tuned into the Smooth Drive. My name is Ayo, and it's that time to get into the world of personal finance. Yes, this is where we're going to talk about your money, your finances, how you can manage them, what you can do to boost them in the face of the economy. And today, like I said earlier, we're going to be having a conversation about your money moves, and we're assessing your money moves at the end of January. Hey, today's the final day, the last day in the month of January, finally, after all these days. So you can look back on the first month of the year and just give yourself a score, a scorecard, report card, as it were. That's where we are right now, and what you can do in order to make things better if you're not at the place where you want to be right now as we get along in the year 2024. And joining me to have this conversation is the one and only your personal finance girl. Hey, how you doing?
Hello, good evening.
Very good evening to you. It's great to have you on once again.
Oh, yeah, it's so nice to be here. I think I like this.
Always a pleasure to talk money and finance with you. I get to learn a lot. I can't even deny that fact. It's all about learning and, of course, doing better as the days go along. And you can be a part of the conversation as always by sending messages into us on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 440 981. You can also join the live stream because we're streaming live on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Join the live stream right there. And yes, let's get things going because so many things to get into. Now, January is over. Now, many people made financial New Year's resolutions to begin the year. Now, just in case they haven't gotten around to them, is there still time to get going or is it too late?
Of course, there's time. There's a lot of time for you to get your finances in place. Do not think that, oh, because the 1 month is out, there's no need for me to continue, or no, I didn't even get around to making New Year resolutions or making financial resolutions, so there's no need to get to it. Please, you have more than enough time. And one beautiful thing about life is whenever you wake up is your morning, so don't beat yourself
Hmm.
up. So you're
Hmm.
good. You can actually start right away.
Okay, so there's never a oh it's too late time. Any good day that you wake up is your morning. I've heard that a number of times in the last couple of days, and I'm beginning to think it actually is true. When you wake up is your morning. So if you haven't started before, don't think it's too late. You can actually start now. Now, let's talk about tracking finances. That is one thing a number of people struggle with, and I will be honest. I'll put my hands in the air. I always do that. I sometimes have that problem. Now, is it best to do your spending tracking on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis, or it's not a one size fits all thing?
So of course it's not a one size fits all thing. But I would always advise you try and do it daily or weekly, because the longer it takes, like the let's say you did something last week, it's harder for you to remember compared to when you do it today and you just take note of it. So if you
Okay.
must not do it every day, which I would advise you do every day, you can as well just do it at least weekly or 2 or 3 times a week. It's best that way, so you don't forget anything and you can remember, and you'd also be able to judge your actions as to why you took some decisions when you took them. Compared to when you're trying to remember, oh, why did I even spend that 100k? I can't remember. But in the moment it felt as though it was important, so you now
Right.
remind yourself that, oh, it wasn't even as important as I thought. Something like that.
The way you said, what did you spend that 100K? I mean, because I said like that 2K, that's 5K, you said that 100K. I think we need to have some discussions because it's like a balling. But anyway, so let's assume that one started on January 1st, and today, they're looking at how much spending was done, and they went over, maybe way over the budget. How do you then rectify that in February to make sure you don't have those issues going forward?
Okay, so one of the reasons why a lot of us go over our budget is one of two things. Life actually happened, meaning that there are some things that you honestly did not foresee, you did not plan for.
Mm,
So what then happens is that you have to eventually spend that money in the moment. So to prevent that from happening in February, you want to review and see, okay, this what made me go over my budget? Is it something that is going to repeat itself, or is something that I simply did not plan for? So if it's repeating itself, obviously you put that into your February budget. But if
Okay.
it's something that just happened out of the blues, then you may want to now have like some sort of buffer. I call it a buffer, like the miscellaneous. Yes,
Right,
that's
right.
easier to relate to. So you can just have like a miscellaneous amount there that you can just now say, okay, my miscellaneous is this amount. But that's bad. I shouldn't go above it. So you have something that keeps you feeling as though yes, you're doing good enough with your finances, and eventually when you go through the numbers, you can judge whether or not you're doing well.
Okay, now talking about the miscellaneous, I was actually going to ask you about it, but it's a good thing you actually brought it up. Now, when we talk about miscellaneous, there's probably going to be a set amount that is put into that particular account. But the miscellaneous accounts, should it be something that can be flexible? Now, when I say flexible, because from time to time, different things happen. When you say life happens, oh, today it could be a minor thing that happens to the car. Tomorrow it could be, oh, something small, maybe some plumbing issues or something like that. So it could be different things. At other times, it could be a mishmash of so many different things happening at the same time. So this month could be a heavy use of miscellaneous account. Next month, it could even be you going over the miscellaneous account. So should it be something that should be left flexible? And in that case, how does one even begin to review this miscellaneous? So do I need to up it or do I need to reduce it? That kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, so from your explanation, from what I heard you say right now, you're trying to explain something like an emergency fund.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
So let me quickly point out what an emergency fund is for those that are listening. So an emergency fund is that money that you've saved up somewhere that helps you whenever something you do not plan for happens.
Right.
So the reason why I'm explaining that is because you're supposed to know what your expenses are every single month for you to be able to know what your emergency fund is. So then you multiply the amount by 3 and then by 6. So let's say your expenses is 100,000 and then multiply by 3, that's 300,000 in your emergency fund account, up onto 600,000, and then you can go as far as. So when I talked about miscellaneous in your budgeting, this is one way to also sort of have like an emergency fund, not an emergency fund, because you're supposed to have that money saved up at every point in time to help you. So let's say your car gets broken down now, the repairs of car might be way over probably 10K that I must have said that you should use as your miscellaneous, but your emergency fund then comes to the rescue. So
Okay.
that way you're not feeling stressed. Your budget does not look stressed, and then you're still balanced as to when you come back to repair the car, and then you don't have to start thinking, okay, what else, what next, and all of that. So
Okay.
that is like an emergency fund. So the miscellaneous I'm referring to in this case of you trying to ensure that your budget always works is that probably when you're done with making your budget and your total expenses in that budget is something around 90,000. So you can just say, okay, let me just keep 10,000 naira that I'm going to use just in case I go over it or it's below. I still have like this amount of money lying fallow to help me just chuck in maybe 1K here or 500 here, so I don't feel as though I did not follow my budget at all. But your emergency fund should always be steady. So just in case you're listening, you do not have an emergency fund, please and please, you need to start saving up.
Hmm. And once again, I'm going to touch on this because when you talked about that 100K and then multiply by 3, and by I'm not thinking a few 100K, 600K. I mean, how is somebody supposed to put that emergency fund together? It's not something that happens one time,
Yeah,
is it?
it's not. It's oh please, it is not. You can't save up your emergency fund
I had to ask.
just like that. I'm sorry, please. You do not save up your emergency fund just like that. So you build it over time. So it's
Okay.
you then have like a saving target that okay, by the end of 2024, I want to have a solid emergency fund that has at least 6 months worth of my expenses. So by the time you multiply the amount, how much am I supposed to save, divide it by 12, you know what you're putting aside every month towards that emergency fund. So you can have that buffer, like in case of job loss, sickness, medical emergency,
Okay.
automobile, anything that just catches you off guard.
All right, interesting stuff. So miscellaneous is on one hand, emergency fund is on the other. This is why you need to talk to those who know in order to gain some knowledge. And we'll talk more about that and of course about savings because hey, we can't talk about money and not talk about savings. But we'll do that on the other side of this quick breather. Don't go anywhere because personal finance on Smooth 98.1 will continue. Don't go anywhere.
It's all about your finances made easy.
Because financial
Breathe.
education is about not working for money.
Personal finance on Smooth 98.1.
You're coming from the mainland, right?
Yeah, yeah.
How is traffic?
But
Okay. This is
Discover
why
Lipton's flavorful and
this is
balanced
why
taste.
I
With
leave
our
my house at
unique
11 o'clock.
expertise, we select
In the morning,
fine
but
quality
absolutely.
tea leaves
Yeah,
from
so I
selected
can meet the
tea
bridge.
gardens around the
Because
world.
I can't deal
Experience
Actually.
Lipton
I
Yellow
can't deal with
Label's
having to do the
flavorful and
whole,
balanced
because once
taste in
7-Eleven is
every
closed,
sip.
everybody's going to a cool bridge.
Discover Lipton's flavorful
Before I
and
leave I leave home
balanced
at 1
taste.
normally, but
Mm.
now 2 hours earlier so that I can meet the
It's
bridge.
all about your
I get here like
finances made
12:30
easy.
to
Because
1.
financial
I sit down and
education
I'm
is about
here.
not working for money.
Yeah,
Personal finance on
sacrifice.
Smooth 98.1.
All right, welcome back to the second half of Personal Finance on the Smooth Drive on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love live station. My name is Ayo Kekiriakon, and your personal finance girl is my guest in the studio. And we're talking about assessing your money moves at the end of January. Hey, the first 31 days in the year 2024 have come. Okay, well, not gone yet because we're still, you know, we're still 31st day of January. Still a couple of hours before we get uh, into February, and there's still time for you to assess those moves. And we've been talking about looking at, on one hand, how one can still begin. One can still start to make those moves. It's not too late to do that, even though 1 month in the year is more or less over. And we also looked at miscellaneous funds as well as emergency funds, which is a good thing you actually explain. Now, for those who have any questions about what we're talking about, you can come through and share your thoughts on WhatsApp. The number is 0809 440 981 0809 440 981. You can also catch us on the live stream on YouTube. We are streaming at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. So catch the live stream right there. All right, let's get back into the conversation. Now, I mentioned we talk about savings. Now, how should an effective savings habit have been cultivated in this month of January?
Okay, so to get started with saving, I always like preach that you have to do what works for you. For some people, for you to be able to save money, you have to know that there's a reward or a punishment attached to it.
Ah,
So you know that, oh, by the time you finish hitting your 50,000 naira saving target for the month, then you can go ahead to buy yourself a parfait. Or if you do not hit your target, it means that you have to reduce your shawarma buying by one or by two. So different people and different things that work for them. While for some people, they just need to set an alarm, or they just need to set a standing order with their bank, and
okay.
they already start building that saving habit. While for some other people, they just need accountability. They need to know
Mm,
that somebody above them or someone beneath them is going to remind them that you said you were going to do this thing, and they end up following through. So
okay.
if all of these things do not work, it means that you have to have a strong reason why. Because if you do not have an internal motivating factor or an internal drive as to why you want to save money, trust me, you are not going to save it. And guess what? When you finish saving it, it will come and save you. And you'll be wondering why saving does not work for you. Meanwhile, you did not put some of these structures in place that's going to help you remain consistent.
Right. So structure is something that is very important. And
Mm-hmm.
do you feel that a lot of people go into the habit of saving without putting those structures in place? Is it just a case of, oh, let me just even save self without thinking
Mm-hmm.
about how I want to save, why I'm saving, how I should save, and knowing yourself on a personal, because like you said, some people need that accountability, but it's that person that will come and be like, have you saved for today? Have you saved for
Mm-hmm.
this week?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing.
Yeah. So most of the time, a lot of us, I used to be like that. A lot of us save without a reason. And what happens is, I want to save money. Why are you saving the money? I'm just saving. That's not a reason.
Hmm.
You need to have like a goal. Is it that you're saving towards an emergency fund, or you're saving towards you want to start your investment journey, or you're saving so that you have like a safety net? And you're not saving that you have a safety net. You need to define what that safety net means. So is it 1
Okay.
million? Is it 100,000? Is it 10,000? You have to know why you are saving, because at the end of the day, let's say you've saved 9,500 and your goal is 10,000. If you do not have a goal of 10,000, what happens is, when the next discomfort comes your way, is that saving that you go and meet. And then we all then laugh about how my saving is always coming to save you. Meanwhile, you're just turning around in circle and not being definitive of what your money should be doing for you in that
Hmm.
aspect.
Okay, interesting. Now, looking at January 31st, I don't know why I can't tire of saying it because it seems like January has been going on for quite a bit. 90 days in the month of January. So I don't think I'll get tired of saying
105.
105 for you. All right. That beats by 90 by a bit. So, I mean, it's been a tough month really for individuals, for business owners, and all that, with the continuous weakening of the naira. Now, what do you think is the best way to navigate rising costs and impact on building savings? I mean, are we not going to start saving in foreign currency at this point?
Well, I'm not going to say that on air, but either way, what you said. But as it is now, we're going like I don't know. I don't want to be use like negative words, but it's
Mm,
actually very bad. I was asking my community members earlier yesterday that what is that thing that has surprised you the most when it comes to the change in price? And everybody was saying food, 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 and all of that. So one thing we could do to try and mitigate is you're sure that you're saving in a high yield savings account. So that's what
okay.
my community and myself are doing this month. So throughout the year, we're going to save with a high yield savings account economy. So we're sure that we're still going to be getting value for our money at the end of
At
the
the end
year.
of the year, okay.
So apart from that, you could also start looking to invest. If you're already good enough with your saving, then it is high time you start investing your money so that it will also save you from um the harshness of the inflation that is upon us.
Mm,
So then for those of us that we really are not good enough to invest, or we're still finding our feet when it comes to saving, then you also want to start bulk buying if you can afford it, so that you know that the next time you're going out, you're testing it at once, you're getting everything you need for the month at once, and you're waiting to the next month, to the next
okay.
circle. Or you want to buy in groups. So when you buy things in bulk, in groups, like in large quantity, and split them, you eventually save the cost. So you can actually reach out to like a someone in the market that does bulk buying, and you
Right.
guys could be 10, 20, come together, buy a bag of whatever you need, or buy 2 or 10 bags and split the cost. That's
Okay.
way better. So that's the way I think that currently is the only realistic way for us to survive. If not,
Mm. Okay, now it's actually very, very interesting here. Talking about bulk buying. Now, I have a question. This is an aside completely. I just remembered this conversation I had with a friend concerning grocery shopping and all that. So this friend of mine, he does grocery shopping, or I also do grocery shopping at the beginning of every month. Buy all the milk, sugar, blah 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 for the house. Now, we're talking about, I mean, every time we go, last month you spend 50K, this month you spend 60, next month you spend 80, and so on. And then he wasn't asking me. I didn't have an answer to the question for him. He then said, okay, now in an instance where, uh, let's say he did the shopping for the month of January, he
Mhm.
bought all the essentials, and then while doing the list for the month for February to know what he's going to buy, and then he sees that, oh, he still has, let's say, powdered milk left over, or there's one that is unopened that is left. Should
Mhm.
he then add powdered milk to the list for February, or should he just chill and not buy it until maybe the end of February? Or how exactly would be the best approach to do that?
Okay, I feel like a more realistic approach to that would be, since you still have something that's going to keep you through to the end of the month without
Mm,
in any way reducing your comfort, you can actually skip that from the
okay.
list to the next time you need it. Because at the end of the day, you already have it. And the idea is that there's something else on that list that would have increased in price. So instead of using that, buying another pack of milk when you still
Mm,
have one enough for February, you can as well use the amount for the pack of milk to buffer all of the other things that the price
right,
might have
right.
gone up.
Right.
So you're still maintaining your budget sort of. It's just that
Okay.
you're switching things around.
Huh. No, I don't. Well, I couldn't have thought of the answer. You are the one who is the pro in all these matters. Let's go to WhatsApp and take a couple of messages here. This is a message from Fumi that says, "Hello, well done to both of you. Thank you very much.
Thank
I have a
you.
question. How can an unemployed person or someone not having steady income budget? Thanks."
All right. So yeah, this is a very tricky one. I always tell anybody that does freelancing, in fact, entrepreneurs are in the same bucket, and then people that don't have like a steady sort of income, is that you need to understand your expenses. So either ways, fine, you don't have like the 9 to 5 that you go out, but there are
Mm,
still expenses you incur every month. So what then happens is once you understand what your expenses are, then you are able to budget, because you know that at the end of every month, eating, data, water, light is around 50,000. So
Okay.
that is already you making a budget. So whenever something else is coming along the way that is going to come and help you and ruin that 50K, you're already telling it to stay away from you. And then you know that, oh, the money doesn't come in frequently. Probably January you got 40,000, February you got 60,000. Because you already know you need 50-50, you know that you're short for January. So by the time February is coming in, you're already fixing it into the places that you must have denied yourself pleasure of. Because at the end of the day, what then happens is when you're low on cash, you prioritize.
True.
By force, willingly or unwillingly,
You have no choice
you
in
have to
that case.
prioritize. So you need to understand your expense so that when the money comes in, you're able to say that, oh, from what I've earned, probably January now you earn 300,000. You know that you have to be prudent that that money lasts you from January to June. So any other money that comes February, March, you can now start fixing it into projects that are important or a way for you to earn more money at the end of the day, because you cannot continue to say that, oh, I do not have a source of income. You have to find another way or a more stable source of income for yourself.
All right, good stuff. Let's take another message here. This is Sarah from Aja. Hi, Ayo, and your lovely guest. It's your personal finance girl with me in the studio. I'm surprised you said we shouldn't save without a plan. What could be the disadvantage of doing that, and how do I figure out what to invest in so that I can be financially secure and not be stuck with just random savings?
Oh, beautiful question, Sarah. Hi, Sarah. So actually, I do not think you should save without a plan, because what then happens is anything can come along the way and take that saving away. Anything at all. Think about the randomest of random things can actually come and take away your savings. So that is why typically, like you said, okay, what if I want to invest? First things first, I'd always say that you need to have an emergency fund before you think about investing, because
Mm,
the emergency fund is coming to save you when there's a problem. So let's say you are saving without a plan. Calculate and see what should be your emergency fund, then move it into that. Let's say you want to get a new phone, let's say you want to get a new laptop, let's say you want to move houses, you can actually start saving towards that goal. Let's say you want to get a new course on Coursera or wherever you want to get upskilled, you have to save towards it. Then once you've sorted that, okay, I already have an emergency fund, then we can now start having the conversation on what should you invest in, because investing comes with its fair share of risk. There's nothing that you want to invest in that is not risky. Name any sort of investment, it comes with its fair share of risk. So then you now start to understand yourself. Okay, where do I stand? What's my risk appetite? What are the things what are the things I am attracted to? What are the things I like? Do I want to research about it to see if my money can go into it and bring in more money? Because there's also the part where you have to also be very, very particular about your morals. There are some
mm,
things that you cannot invest in. It's not only about your religion. There are some values you uphold, and some sort of investment would not work. So that now leads us to, like, okay, investing. Then we have a very long conversation about that. So you can see how we progress. And that is why you have to have a reason why you are saving.
All right, Sarah. I hope that answers your question. Man, time has actually flown by. But
Yeah.
hey, I actually have to talk about this before we round up on the conversation. This is very, very, very important. Extremely important. In fact, high priority. Now, Valentine's Day is in February. And in fact, it falls on a Wednesday, which is the day we have personal finance. Now, do you think spending should be toned down, bearing in mind everything that each individual is going through on a personal level?
Tone down? How do you
Yeah,
mean tone down?
I mean, instead of buying the hair of 1 million naira, you be honest with yourself and say, well, this is I can't do this, so I can't. I mean,
So actually, I don't know tone down, but I believe that you should already have a budget for Valentine. You have your significant other. You already know you are going to give to the person. So obviously that should reflect in your financial statement or whatever you're doing, your budget and everything. So I wouldn't use the term tone down. I'll just say we should plan. You have to be intentional about giving, even if it's not a significant other, probably your family, your sister, your wherever you want to give. So it
okay.
should actually reflect. So because we have an upcoming holiday does not mean that you go and splurge all your money. So
Mm,
there's a difference where you and yourself have agreed that if I do XYZ with my finances, I am going to splurge. That is different. But
okay.
when you don't have that plan sorted out, please don't go anywhere and be splurging anything.
Mm,
After Valentine is Easter. or what's the next holiday? So you can you imagine, just imagine if at every holiday you decide to spend and spend and spend, it means we're all going to turn around in circle.
Henry from Lekki says, I have a budget for anyone who asks me out to. Talking about Valentine's Day. Henry, you know what? Let me just keep my thoughts to myself. But anyway, thank you for sending your message. And thank you very much to your personal finance girl for joining me to talk about this very important topic about assessing our finance moves as the month of January ends. We head into February with so much optimism that things will be better and we'll do better with our finances in the next month and throughout the rest of the year. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you for having me. It's such a pleasure.
As always. And thank you to all our wonderful listeners, and thank you for sending in messages as well. We do this every Wednesday at 5:15 p.m. right here on Smooth 98.1, your love music, love life station. Stick around because there's so much more to come on the Smooth Drive.
About working for money, what comes to your head?
Your earnings, your spending.
I need to go immediately.
Matters with the experts on the global scale.
We're done, right?
Way to run your life.
Personal finance every Wednesday from 5:15 p.m.
Smooth 98.1. Love